we got the chance to speak to arguably the best free climber in the world, Alex Honnold, about his brand new Nat Geo series, Arctic Ascent. So, before we get into it, um, talk me through how long it took from the point at which you decided I want to do this to assembling the team and actually getting there.
Ooh, I'm actually not totally sure, but I think that I'd been talking with the production company, Plimsoll, that made the show. I think we'd been sort of working on plans for maybe a year or so until all the right pieces came together with the correct objective, the correct team, the science, the film crew. Like basically, it took a while to sort of make it all feel like a great expedition, and then
Right.
and then of course with anything in Greenland, you're limited that you can only go in July and August. So even if you come up with a great idea in December, you still have to wait till the next year.
Right. So, in the first episode, you kind of talk about all the reasons to do it, right? It's uncharted, the scientific advantages. But I'd like to sit inside your brain for a second because I want to know why you did it. What was the thought process? Is it as simple as just being your next big challenge, or is there
No,
something more?
actually, I think it's helpful that we talked about the last Tepui before because that actually was a big part of what created this expedition for me. Because
Right.
being in the last Tepui, I saw how important it is and how useful it is to have a scientist on the trip. Because on that
Yeah.
trip, I don't know if you know, but Bruce wound up discovering something like six new species that he's like slowly
Yeah.
publishing. And so, I was like, oh wow, having the right scientist with you on a team like that can really make some real contributions. And so with Arctic Ascent, I felt like it was important that we cover the scientific component of it. If you're going to go somewhere that's so important for humanity, really, you should also be sharing the climate science, basically. Now I forgot your question, but I'm like, but the last Tepui was a big part of what inspired this whole expedition. It was like,
No, no,
I,
that was my question. Just getting into your
yeah,
brain as to that thought process, right? So it's not just because it's their thing anymore.
no, I mean it is a little bit because obviously the climbing matters to me, and I want to, I want to do something
Yeah.
that I'm proud of. But beyond that, it's like, but if you're going to do if you're going to go somewhere like Eastern Greenland, you should be doing something useful while you're there. And that I'd really learned that from the last Pui. Like both that it was possible to do something with science like that, and that it was actually genuinely useful. That you can make real contributions that way.
There are a couple of incredible moments across the series, right? There are quite a few of them. I think the first one was when you reach left to find that crack and the camera just pulls back and then that's just out of this world. And then the one of the most jarring moments for me was when you go, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and then Heidi goes, this is horrible. And I'm like, yeah. And that was very jarring because obviously my first reaction is that's breathtaking.
Hmm.
And I think that's going to be a lot of people's first reactions. And I was wondering if that moment completely changed your worldview.
No, not completely, but I basically had the same experience that you did, where it's like just visually, it's incredible. It feels like fantasy. The landscape is amazing. Everything about it is
Right?
really inspiring. I mean, just being there as a layperson, I'm like, this is incredible, inspiring, beautiful. And I think that's what we hope that viewers take from it. But then that's why it's so important to have somebody like Heidi on the expedition to help us understand what we're seeing and realize that, yes, it's incredibly beautiful, but it's also a little bit alarming how quickly it's changing.
So pull the curtain back for me a little bit because, you know, we watch these shows on Nat Geo and we're like, oh, this is all very cool, highly skilled people. The one thing that never gets spoken about is I'm assuming that your camera crew is incredibly skilled at climbing as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how
Actually,
does that work?
yeah, in this show, it's kind of too bad that they chose not to include the camera crew. Because like in the film Free Solo, they just show the whole crew
Yes.
the whole time. And actually, in many of the crew, it's all like from a similar team. Like a few of the people worked on different projects. I think the main director of photography was Pablo Durana, and I always call him the world's fittest cameraman. And so he was up on the wall with us for Ingmikorlitaq. Like he was just with us for everything. And so it's kind of too bad that he's not in the show because he literally did everything that we did, but carrying a camera the whole time and taking photos and doing
And
everything. It's amazing.
And keeping things in focus and making sure the light's right. I mean, that's just crazy. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Because
he
he
was
got some
flying the
phenomenal shots.
Yeah, he was also flying the drone a lot because he was up on the wall with us, but then he couldn't always get ahead of us because when you're doing a first ascent, nobody's ever been above. And so you have to kind of wait until the lead climbers get the rope up and things. And so then he would often come up, film at the anchors, and then fly the drone to get cool shots, and then land the drone, come up the ropes further, film more. It's like he was like a one-man band, like doing all kinds of different things to get the shots. It was incredible.
That is amazing. Tell me, how has like from Free Solo to Pui to this one, how has technology changed in the way you do things? Like, this is a completely lay question, but does technology help in any way in determining your ascent?
Not really. Technically, you can scout your climbs with a drone if you want to, and there are always drones with the camera crew, and so it is easy to scout that way. I think on this expedition, we maybe use the drone a little bit for route finding on the glaciers to navigate on glaciers. I don't think that we scouted the climbs ahead of time. I can't remember now, because they're like stylistic questions around that as a for climbers. It's like, oh, is it cheating to like look ahead like that? I kind of don't care
Right.
one way or another, but in our case, we were just having an adventure up the wall, and it didn't totally matter. But no, the storytelling side, I mean, technology has wildly changed the storytelling side. In that now, I mean, you see in the series, a lot of the footage is just from us with our phones at the anchors, like talking to
Yeah.
each other while we're climbing. And that's now high enough quality that you can air it on television. And then drones have totally changed the way things get filmed. The portability of the cameras has really changed things. Just in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been more involved in this world, I've seen it change pretty quickly.
I've got like a minute left, so very quickly, talk to me about fear. The more you do this, does it become harder to scare you, or is it always just there?
No, I think the more you do this, the harder it is to scare you. Just because you get
Right,
used to it, you get used to the risks. I mean, in some ways, you can see a perfect example of that, and I think it's the first episode when I get hit in the face by the falling ice, and or maybe
right.
that's, but
Say first and second, yeah.
yeah, but like the other people on the wall, they're all like, "Oh, there's falling ice. This is really scary." And Hazel and I got up there and we're like, "This isn't scary. This is totally normal." And then I immediately got hit in the face, and I was kind of like, "Okay, I probably should have been a little bit more afraid." But you're just sort of used
It's
to the
also that
environment.
other moment in episode 3 when you have a little bit of an argument, and he's like, "I'm not being grumpy, I'm being serious." And I thought that was such a real moment that often doesn't happen in these
Yeah.
shows. And I thought that was great because it just shows, like, because you had relative beginners for the first time on one of these things.
Mhm.
And I think that skill difference actually helped bring me into it a little more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, it's not that big of a skill difference. I mean, we're all there for a reason. Like Mikey's an elite climber, Hazel's an elite climber. But we're also all managing risk in different ways and in different places in our lives. And I don't know, like Mikey, for example, like just had his first kid, and he's very, he's all excited about that. And so on that expedition, he's kind of grappling with family things, and like he and his wife trying to have a baby, and he's kind of like, oh, I don't need this climb. He's kind of like, I've done a lot of things like this. Like, I don't need this chossy, dangerous cliff.
Damn you, Alex. Yeah.
Well,
What
I
have you
mean,
done?
whereas Hazel and I felt like we did need it. We're kind of like, we're here for this, and this is inspiring. This is amazing. Like, we want to do this. And so, I mean, really the whole team is constantly grappling with, what are the dangers and what are we willing to do?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm all out of time, but it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you all the time. And, congratulations. Keep doing what you do. It just fills me with so much joy.
Oh, I appreciate that. And actually, we did
God
another
knows I ain't
expedition.
climbing any mountains. Sorry.
We did another expedition like this last summer in Alaska, and so hopefully we'll chat again next year for a different show like this.
We shall, sir. We shall. Congratulations once again. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, have a good one. Cheers.
Arctic Ascent with Alex Honnold is now showing on Nat Geo, which you can catch on Disney Plus Hotstar. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Sound off in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.